Welcome to the Glacially Musical Pouredcast and YouTube extravaganza. It is beer, metal, and swearing. I, of course, am Nik Cameron, and I am joined by the man himself, the human thirst trap, Cutie Chakas. How we doing today, buddy?
What can I do with that intro except be great?
I'm glad to hear it. I need you to yell into the void.
Scream into the void, everybody. How about now?
A little bit better.
Technology is not my friend today, but we're going to do our best, my friend. We're going to do our best.
Alrighty, technical difficulties have happened already, so I am sure there are no gremlins in the machine except for the one I put there. Where were we? So, beer check. This week, I have a Logboat Brewing Jerk Alert Double IPA. It
That
is
looks
eight and a
very
half
nice.
percent. It's a little dry, which is not my favorite kind of beer, but I didn't know. Ooh, that is awful.
That pour is shameful.
I tried to get fancy, and I just got awful. What do you got for me this week?
For the first time ever, I have a new beer to drink. Not the first time ever, but the first time I'm drinking this beer. The Oscar Blues Mama's Little Yellow Pills. I feel like this is a Rolling Stones reference, like Mama's Helper or something. But anyway, so this is the Bohemian Pilsner of Oscar Brewery, and it's got a very '70s can, which again makes me think of the Stones. But nice pop.
Yeah, I've had that one a couple of times. It is not one of my absolute favorite by Oscar Blues, but Pilsner is just not my favorite kind of beer anymore. I
I get
used to
it.
like it a lot more than I do
I get it. This is actually quite nice, and was procured by me at the little used greengrocer down the block from me. That's kind of a hybrid of Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and it's a cooperative place. I would like to give more of my business to. They're a little pricey on things, but I just discovered they sell loose beer, and so
now.
not
Oh,
gonna
loose
have to
beer
buy
is
a
the
whole
best
six
beer.
pack, just a couple of cans. So
I hear you. Before we get to the vinyl check this week, I want to tell a little bit of a story.
okay,
I a soft spot in the budget this week. Not that you will get any idea of that from the epic vinyl check I got for you this week. I decided I'm not gonna separate them. I'm just gonna from going forward. I'm just gonna give you my truth. And this week, that truth is a little much of an embarrassment of riches. However, it is what it is. So, trying to be thrifty for the rest of the week. Uh, I have a funeral next week, dealing with always dealing with stuff, dealing with the move. I decided yesterday I need to get out of the office on my lunch break. I need to go somewhere. So I went to the new antique mall, which I figured would have records, and I found a lot of cool stuff. Honestly, I found Jeff Beck with the Yardbirds. I found Big Brother and the Holding Company, Led Zeppelin. I found oh god, what else? Monkeys, and I can't remember everything I found. Some of it was really I did. Oh, I found a Anti Nowhere League record. That was a little pricier than I was willing to pay for it because I'm not a fan. If it was $45. Had it been 30 or less, probably would have bought it. But I ended up buying nothing, and here's why. The best time to go record shopping is when you've got no money. When you have to put it on a credit card, when you have to justify it to your spouse, when you're told to be thrifty for every day. Because then it's like, do I really need Jeff Beck and the Yardbirds? Do I really need this Michael Bolton solo record featuring Bruce Kulick just to be a completist? Am I going to listen to these? No, not more than once, so I didn't buy it. Now, my real vinyl check, after having said all of that, maybe this past week I was up late on a Saturday. Maybe I was drinking a couple of beers. Maybe. Maybe I had credit card points. And maybe I bought Carcass Despicable. I got it for, I think it was like $17 on Amazon at the time. Really nice, cool electric blue colors, they call it.
hmm,
It does come in a Mylar sleeve, which is nice because I don't have a big stack of Mylar sleeves for 10-inch. I don't buy that many. I just decided I had to finally own this thing. Now, maybe I also had some Capital One credit card points, which are now usable on Amazon.com. So maybe I finally started shopping local and picked up some Nelly. Maybe I also blasted this really, really loud in my headphones and fell asleep before it was over. Now, here's where it gets good for the people that listen to this show. Well,
as if he already knew. Go ahead.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
I'm not being mean.
Well, don't. Well, okay, then be mean. Do the thing I'm telling you not to do.
All right.
Thing. So, as I've discussed it before, if you have a friend in England or Europe whom you trust to be your landing pad, you can do some awesome shit. And here's what I did. You may recall the Department of Metal Antiquities, my other podcast that I host with Duncan. Keefy's been on a couple of times. Well, one of the forgotten gems we discovered and covered was Samson. Head On. Never released in America on vinyl.
But do you have it now?
I got it for like £5.
That's impressive. Is that like $8?
Okay. Longtime listeners of this show may recall a series we did two bands ago. This was £15.
All right. Is that the plain black or is that the color?
This is an original UK pressing.
Okay.
You can tell because the record is thicker than the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
The UK pressings in late 80s, early 90s, I've got a couple. They're real flimsy, Now another one I got. This one has not been covered by us or the BMA, but the debut record by the Dead Witches on Heavy Psych Sounds. I reviewed this on Glacially Musical when it was new. The story about it was, at that time I didn't have the disposable records income I do now. We were living check to check, and we were on a vacation that my father-in-law paid for. On our way back from Hawaii, we stopped in San Francisco, and I decided, okay, I'm going to buy that Dead Witches record. I'm sure it didn't sell out in the week since it's been out. No, it sold out. It was gone. And so now 6 years later, I had to import it from England. But imported, done. Okay, now, I still got more. I'm sorry. I told you it was epic this week. Embarrassment of riches. So, other people listening to this might remember another series Keefy and I did on Monty Python's Flying Circus. Well, there was a live record that was released only in Britain. So I got that. This is only like £3 before shipping. Now, keeping in mind on these, I do have to pay double shipping. I've got to pay domestic shipping to Duncan's house, and then I've got to pay international shipping to my house. So the shipping is about $8 per. I got a question about why did you send all that money to Duncan this month? Because, sorry about that. Bump the microphone. Because I wanted to buy Poison. Look what the cat dragged in. Oh, it gets better. Japanese pressing.
Your favorite.
Someone in England had a Japanese pressing of this record.
Why?
And he only wanted £10 for it.
Why?
Why? Listen to this track list. Come on, listen.
I know, it's a good
one.
one.
No, this is
why?
Gold. Cry Tough. I Want Action. I Won't Forget You. Play Dirty. Look what the cat dragged in. It's epic. Oh, wait, I have another vinyl to check still. I still got one more. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Give me 1 second. I got a story too. Okay, so while I was moving, I asked one of my best friends, Kevin, to come over and help me do some stuff to move the spinning room from the old house to the new house because the cats were in there. So we're in a local restaurant called the Mac having burgers and beers to thank him for his help after he worked an overnight, for God's sakes. I'm such an asshole. Sorry, Kevin. Really sorry, Kevin. So we're eating these giant burgers, drinking these beers, and they're listening to classic rock radio, and everything that comes on, I go, I got that on vinyl. I got that on vinyl because my kid hates it. She hates it when I do this. So Skid Row, 18 in Life comes up. So I go, and then eventually the kid goes, yes, Dad, I know. You've got it on vinyl. No one cares. Wife goes, looks up. We have this on vinyl? I go, no.
From shame. She was ashamed.
I'm like, no, I'm doing a joke. We don't have this on vinyl. Why not? The original pressings are a little pricey and there hasn't been a repress. And she goes, remedy that.
Mm.
So on Saturday, maybe I found a repress.
When the wife tells you to do something, folks, do it.
Especially if it's buying records. So the next day I go out record shopping, and I actually came across a original press of it.
That's crazy.
It was $60. I had already purchased the repress though, so I considered it briefly. Skid Row, self-titled, 2021, 180 gram, metallic gold repress. Sounds.
Here's a good question. I don't know if you're a betting man. What band is going to reunite first, if ever? Queensryche with Jeff Tate or Skid Row with Daz?
Oh, Skid Row.
I agree. Probably never Queensryche, actually.
Never for either, but
also definitely possible. So while you've been doing your massive vinyl check, I've been drinking this beer.
Sorry, I have.
No, it's quite fine. There are weeks when there is a dearth of vinyl, and there is weeks when there are none. Or last.
For the record, the English package, when I do that, it's like a 5 to 6 week process minimum. It got a little bit shortened this week because I got a little silly. Big wheeling with my big paycheck. I got yelled at for how much I big wheeled. Like, why'd you? I wanted to get Poison for you. Also, I love Poison. I fucking love Poison.
She told you to. I mean, you can't. After she told you.
I like Skid Row too.
Oh, Poison. Yeah, Poison. I like Bret Michaels, but like,
look,
good band. They don't always have the songs. And
no, they don't. They're like Motley Crue, but just a little bit better, and a little bit worse.
Yeah. They're the better singer, worse songs. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
Accurate. Yeah.
I have two the first, the saga continues with Ghost perpetually. So you've heard me complain on these pods and elsewhere. I ordered 2 Ghost Impera versions when the pre-sale came on because I'm a glutton for punishment and I love this band. Strangely, not as in love with this album. This is perhaps my least favorite Ghost album. It kind of falls off on the second side, but I was excited nonetheless. Saw them live, saw them do some of these new songs live right when the album was announced and the pre-sale came about. So Hot Stuff is a record chain in Sweden, and they also do a massive online retail business with reasonable shipping to the U.S. So I got the Swedish vinyl variant of Impera. I still have yet to get my American vinyl version from the record company that pressed it here in America, but they clearly pressed and shipped these to Sweden, which then shipped to me. I will share both of these vinyl beauties. This is the deluxe edition that has a beautiful color inlay and lyric book and things, but I'll pull out this vinyl to share. I do not have it in a Mylar yet. My Mylars are coming. And then I will have a massive project to put everything in a Mylar. But
just put them in Mylar as you listen to them.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. So here's this gorgeous.
Oh, that is nice.
Purpley. It's almost like a lilac. And plays great, sounds great. Again, don't love. Wish I loved the record a little more, but I don't, alas. And then, if you've been hearing this, I've been talking about this. I went to a series of Jawbreaker reunion concerts for their album Dear You, that is out of print except for a limited run they did for this tour. And randomly, as you went to the table, you could get it signed, unsigned, or signed, but of course then opened. But also, you didn't know from album to album if you were getting the variant or the plain old 180 gram black vinyl. So I got the Dear You autographed for a lot of money, and I didn't know till I got it home which one I got, but I got the variant Canadian press that is on
Nice.
a kind of bluish green, which makes a lot of sense because they have a famous song called Seafoam Green, not on this record, but another one that I like. And I think I shared that Jawbreaker covers record with you a while back on cello. That's on Seafoam. That's on legit Seafoam Green. This is kind of a blue green, turquoisey, and autographed by the band. I went 3 nights in a row. They were brilliant. They played all the jams. Again, not my favorite record, but out of print, I almost bought that same record for like an obscene amount of money a couple of months ago, and I thought better of it, and I didn't. And now I waited, and now I have it autographed by the band, which is, pretty cool, pretty cool. So that's my vinyl check for today.
Wow, we have gone on today.
This has been quite a vinyl check. How about that shirt check? I like that Barishi shirt, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but the former singer of Barishi, Sasha, is now singing with another awesome New England-based metal band, Epicenter, who are really
No, I'm not
badass.
familiar.
I did not know this till we reviewed the band live, and I had no idea until the photos showed up and read the review that he is now in that band. And Barishi kind of went
I'm
down.
actually really glad to hear that. I thought he was very talented. I saw
He's
them.
supremely talented as a vocalist and frontman. Epicenter already was an awesome band, kind of a what I like to call pizza thrash, and they are hopefully working on new material with him. So that's the vinyl check and maybe the shirt check. I am wearing my Metallica 40th anniversary concert shirt, so just happen to have that on today.
All right then. So we are continuing with Thin Lizzy, episode number 3. We are doing Jailbreak. What I find interesting about this record is this is that time that happens with all these 70s bands not named Led Zeppelin, where the record company has been fronting them and pushing them. Keep in mind, this is their 6th record. So imagine if Metallica didn't hit till Load, if Led Zeppelin didn't hit till Physical Graffiti, if Pink Floyd didn't hit till 3 albums earlier. Think about, or let's see, what other big bands are there? Help me.
I mean, those are really good examples. It's yeah, they were on their do or die minute. This was it. They had one legitimate single that was a smash hit. That was Whiskey in the Jar. We've discussed this. Their records had never cracked the charts. They had no other singles that charted. They were on their last legs. Same label as Black Sabbath, Vertigo, Mercury, Warner, all kind of the same thing today. But that's what it was, Vertigo at the time. And they rose to the occasion. Jailbreak is probably the Thin Lizzy record everyone knows, just vis-a-vis these huge hit singles. But this is probably the record. If a lot of people they have that one record by every band that found its way into their collection or, gifted to them or something. Well, I heard you like Thin Lizzy. Here's Jailbreak.
Right.
I
This
heard
is
you
their
like Led
Dark Side
Zeppelin.
of the
Here's
Moon.
Zeppelin 4.
Right. This is their 4. This is their Black album. This is their album that puts them on the map. And
It really did.
it's just really cool to think about how it took them 6 records to break. And the label told them, look, this is it. Here's your
Yeah.
cash. There's the door if you screw it up. And let's see how this goes. And they flatly crushed it. I mean, this
Yeah.
is top to bottom an amazing record. There is nothing, there's no filler. It's all killer. You might not know all these tunes, Some of them might be on that record right there. So I don't remember what's on that, to be perfectly frank with you. I haven't listened to it in a minute. Sorry.
It's
Doing my
okay. You can.
best.
We'll touch on it next week. We're not going to do a deep dive, but we'll talk about it next week. But I don't know if we're doing one or two more Lizzies. I think we're doing two more,
I think it's one,
and
but we'll see.
I think it's two because next week's. Oh no, yeah, next week's record is kind of the standalone, and then the following week is we're gonna do two at the end. So maybe we'll do
Okay.
two. Maybe we'll do Johnny the Foxes next week, and then we can probably do Live and Dangerous then, and then the Black Rose, and the other one is after. But yeah, it is amazing. And then sort of we had this kind of feeling and again the last record, the last two records are very good, excellent records with great moments. Still in Love with You is incredible. That's on the last record. Philo produced that last record, Fightin', and still though, was like, well, if we're gonna go under, I'm gonna run the ship, and it just still didn't have a hit. And again, I don't. Looking back historically on music, I mean, it was a very crowded field to get a hit song from a rock band. It was very crowded with bands,
It
you
was,
know, dozens of bands.
yeah, it was. People talk about, oh, the '70s was so much better for music, and the '80s was so much better, whatever, and all that. A big part of it is that the record labels were flush with cash, and they were able to push these bands, and then you had AM and FM radio both pushing bands. So it was easier for them to wait it out. And how many bands, when they waited it out, when it was do or die time, they come out with the the Diamond album, Led Zeppelin 4, Alive, Destroyer, all this stuff where 2112.
2112.
I don't have
2112 is
21.
probably the best example of that. Actually, I feel like Zeppelin was never in doubt or risk
No,
because of Jimmy,
they were never in danger. It's
but
a bad
but
example.
also like remember like again a lot of these bands were not critical darlings, so there is a weird expectation that like critics love the greatest bands ever, but actually no, they mostly hated Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. Pink Floyd was derided and made fun of until Dark Side of the Moon, and not respected well. Same with Rush. Rush was always considered to be
Well, what I loved about
very
Rush was
fluffy.
it gets to their do or die point, and the record label's like, you need to stop these long songs. You need to write some pop hits, and this is your last chance to get it done. And they went, oh, okay. Here's a 25-minute epic on side one. Is that what you were looking for?
There's a song about space priests
Yeah, a
from a
space
from a
priest that
from a
outlawed rock
heretical
and roll.
order in outer
Space
space. How
priest
do you
that
feel about that?
found a historical civilization that had outlawed rock and roll, but now we're gonna fix it. Okay.
With our riffs
Yeah, with
and
riffs
drums
and bass solos.
and bass solos and ridiculousness. But like what do corporations know? Dick.
Correct.
Usually,
Correct.
not much.
And one of the
So,
things I tell people all the time is record labels aren't nearly as cool as you think.
or they think
Correct. They're a bank.
they are a glorified credit union, and not a very good bank, because the terms are worse than a bank or a casino. The odds are greatly against you. May the odds ever be in your favor? That's Game of Thrones. May the odds
No,
be
it's Hunger
totally
Games.
against you? Most Hunger Games, right? Most record labels. So, sorry. Um,
Oh yeah, it's like think about movies, man. How many movies come out in a year?
and how
Seven
many how many do you
million.
never see?
Correct.
Same thing with music.
Most people consider it like a challenge to have seen every Best Picture nominee, and that's like 10, and that's hard for most people. So think about how many albums your average person buys. We buy crazy amounts because we're ridiculous. We are not the norm. Your average person probably buys 10.
Right.
So yeah, the odds are very much stacked against you, and for you to pull the lever and get the jackpot, it's probably not going to happen.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Any other Thin Lizzy thoughts before we do the track by track? because this one should be pretty easy and painless. I feel like we're going to be pretty aligned on most of this. Might be a couple of fun factoids that eke out, but I feel like this is the safest, again, the most commonly known, best known Lizzy record. Not and maybe the shame of it is that it is because they have so many other great albums and great songs, and this record outshines everything else. You'll hear me. You'll probably say it again later. Radio only knows these hit songs. They're mostly on this record, especially on side two. And it's a shame because I think it's in a way sometimes your success can defeat you. You know.
Well, songs from this album made it into the zeitgeist, and the ones that did, I will explain the tangential touches.
Nice. I'm gonna quote Bane from the Dark Knight Rises and say, "Victory has defeated you." Anyway, um,
Okay.
so voices, yeah. All right.
Moving on.
Moving right along. Do you want to do the track by track, or shall I? I feel like this is the one you can lead and I can color.
You go ahead and lead it because I still have not got a good setup where I
All right.
can. My mouse is at my knee and my keyboard is at my hands. So
I
this
feel
is
like you're
not.
looking down at me threateningly, but I'm also just sitting a little lower than you do. I'm shorter than you for sure, but
I need to
so
get this chair is about 3 inches taller than I would like it to be for this. But I could just move over to the desk.
nah.
But I like the records behind me, so
Fair enough.
for
Fair
those
enough.
people
I love the
watching this
records.
on
I
YouTube,
love the what. Before I begin, what are these? You pointed to the Lizzy. What other records are standing out
this
there?
is
Is this
the
what you've been listening? Is this just for show? Have you been listening to these this week?
no, this is just for show. I have listened to this one recently, the latest I Fight Dragons release. If you
Okay.
like hard rock, nerdy shit, and video games, check out I Fight Dragons.
Okay.
Kiss's greatest record of all time, as the song Ace Frehley covered is on this album. I felt it best to choose a Kiss album that Ace Frehley is barely on. And for the underground metal set, we have the Halo of Flies, Dry Coffee, and others split of Cloud Rat and Disrotted. This is the one, I believe, where Cloud Rat decides to, instead of doing their standard grindcore, goes into a more progressive kind of to match Disrotted. Progressive doom metal.
Nice. Cloud Rat also has occasional kind of ambient industrial things. They have a new record apparently in the works. I'm extremely excited about.
Is it a full record or another split?
They're doing a full, I believe, a full length album they've been working on
Nice.
for quite a while, coming out on their label Artifact Records, who I'm quite a fan of. By the way, just one other thing before we jump into the track by track for Lizzy, I do want to call out a few weeks ago. One of your vinyl check-ins was Goat Horn, and they just reissued, I think, a like issued or reissued their classic records all on one collection or one vinyl. I'm not sure if that tracks, but I saw something like Goat Horn reissue out now, and so
How
I was
many
like,
albums do they even have?
it's a good question. I don't quite know what if it's like one classic they're sharing or something else, but good
You
band.
know, we talk about the pricing of the records we buy. That was the only record I bought that week because I'm like, oh crap, I need something to check. And it was $16.66. That's a no-brainer. Okay, it looks good. I'll go for it.
Mm.
'Cause that's how
Yeah,
much
the
records cost.
Ghost was actually considering the shipping from Sweden. The Ghost was reasonable to me, and the autographed Jawbreaker bought at the merch table at the show, signed by the band, was not cheap. It was very expensive. But again, the record is very hard to find. And so going for hundreds in some cases on Discogs. So what I paid for it is a lot less.
Yeah, when
But
I saw Steve Vai the last time, he had apparently found a box of Flexible,
mm,
and so he was selling it on the tour for $75 per.
mm,
That he would autograph and sign to you after the tour was over.
weird,
And
but
I'm like,
okay.
none of this works for me. Of course, I ended up getting it later for $15 and covering it on the Department of Mental Antiquities, and that album is abject horse crap.
Haha.
Don't even buy it. I sold my
I
copy, I think,
like
for
it.
$15 on Discogs.
Youch.
Yeah. All right, let's
So,
hit this.
Jailbreak begins like most albums in the 70s with the title track as either the first or last song. Jailbreak, the song, leads the album, is a triumphant great rock song. I know that there's all my life somebody will invariably bring up that AC/DC has a Jailbreak album and song. So I think it's a live album and like a bootleg live, but they have a Jailbreak song also, not the same song, but great song, great riff, great solo, great singing, fun song. It's in and out. It comes and it goes quick, and it's a great album opener.
I would agree with everything you just said. I would point out that anybody who would bring up ACDC during a conversation with Thin Lizzy, I'm not saying you did this, but I would say it's appropriate to slap the taste out of their goddamn mouths.
Oh. I mean, it
Because
is Bond era Thin Lizzy.
What?
But yeah, it's Bon Scott era Thin Lizzy. So
Still,
I
Bon Scott era ACDC is not on the same level as this.
Sorry. Yeah, Bon Scott ACDC. I don't
It's
know.
fine.
I don't know.
You called attention to it. I was just going.
They have their. I mean, ACDC's great, and I think diminishing after Back in Black for sure.
I think it was
Because
diminishing before Back in Black, but that's just me.
After you hit the peak, you can only go downhill mostly. So,
how many bands besides Pink Floyd after Roger Waters took over were able to continually scale the mountain?
It's fair. Sabbath. That's about it.
Deep
Purple.
Sabbath got one more record before the diminishing returns.
Oh, I mean, I'm talking about Dio. Like Dio comes in, and those Dio records, at least 3 of them.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good point.
I mean,
I was
James Singers still had success. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Genesis, AC/DC, Pink Floyd, a little.
No, AC/DC's biggest hit was Back in Black.
Yeah, some more success.
And there is no question that the returns diminished the next record.
Than every record since. Yeah, no problem. I do like the last one. But
they hit the peak and then went, oh my.
So Jailbreak.
Jailbreak is a great song. It is an amazing statement song. It's metaphorical, it's meta. You have this song about them breaking out. And it's almost as though they're breaking out of their own shell. They're breaking out of their own idiom, and they are going to where they can be free. And this album does feature significant amounts of metaphors, and I think this is the first one.
Indeed. I'm also going to throw out a couple of awesome things. I love that triumphant first chord, which is a novel way to start a song. And then there's a kind of I don't know if it's a ode to, or maybe it's their own thing, because like I said, that Thin Lizzy sound now is fully formed after the last record. There is we'll call it liberal amounts of lead guitar, even in the verses of the songs. So not in the lead sections or the outro lead solo, which you sometimes get in the 70s.
Oh, that was everywhere in the 70s.
There's liberal amounts of lead guitar,
sing over,
bridges, pre-choruses, very similar. I would compare it maybe to Allman Brothers or later Van Halen, where there's just leads can happen anywhere now, even for a little taste. And I think
this is the beginning of melodic death metal.
I don't know about that.
Without this record, there is no Carcass Heartwork. I said it.
I mean, sure.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, in the way that Thin Lizzy has inspired Iron Maiden, that then inspired melodic death metal, maybe. I don't know. That's a stretch. It's kind of a stretch.
Look, if there was no Robert Johnson, there is no Scream Bloody Gore either. But that's besides the point.
Fair enough.
I don't know if that's even true, but whatever. No, it's a great song. It's a great opening. It's a statement. It's an amazing statement, and they're off and running on this one.
Indeed. The second track, if I may continue, and that first track, Jailbreak, most of these are a Phil composition unless otherwise noted. So that first track is all Phil music and lyrics. Angel from the Coast is the next track. It's a Phil, Lynott, and Brian Robertson composition. This lineup of the band, at least for now, has Phil, Brian, Scott Gorham, and Brian Downey. You know what Brian brings to the table as a soloist and a writer. And Angel from the Coast, good song. another, another Philo tells a story, and it's up to you kind of what he means.
If if there was anything close to filler on this record, it would be this song.
Okay.
But I don't know that there is any song on this album that could follow up Jailbreak and stand out, because when Jailbreak ends, that is like your release. That is your post glow. That is, it probably shouldn't have started the record.
Mm,
I think if there's any complaint I have about this album, is that it led off with Jailbreak.
fair enough. I think side two has definitely got the superior tracks, but side one has some definite bangers and no slouches.
Agreed.
But Angel from the Coast, it's certainly not bad. It's just not. Unfortunately, it has to follow Jailbreak.
Correct. Which
I
makes it
saw
hard. It makes it that makes it hard to remember.
I saw the Morbius movie this week. Not only is it terrible, it had to follow the Batman and had to come out before the Doctor Strange movie that looks amazing. So unfortunate. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes it's about you live and die on your own merits, and sometimes it's what came before or after. Unfortunately, colors the mind.
That's the world we live in.
It is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. So let's wake up and let's start trying to make this a place worth living for.
I don't want to brag, but I'm the 5 card stud. I get a royal flush, and I smell blood.
All right, word. The third
Sorry, listen
song,
to Ace Frehley's
I guess
opus, Trouble
I
Walking, recently.
I was quoting "Land of Confusion" by Genesis, but you
I
quote
was
Ace
quoting Ace
Frehley.
Frehley's 5 card stud, which
Not a good
no one should
Genesis.
ever quote, frankly.
No. The third song is "Running Back." Has nothing to do with NFL or college football, but it has to do with running back to someone or something. And another solo fill composition, relatively short at about 3 minutes, like the last one. And again, pretty solid.
Agreed. Good solid track. It's just when you the jailbreak glow still hits. When we get into the next track, Romeo and the Lonely Girl, that is Phil Lynot's. My so far it is my favorite vocal performance of his.
Mm,
He is an amazing, emotive singer who lacks range, in my
I don't
view.
agree with that. I think the range is a choice, and he's not. I
Okay,
think you got to take this whole thing in
I
and really
I'm
think about each song and spend time with these records. I don't think he has any lack of range, but okay.
calling him like I sees him. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mm.
The most unreliable witnesses are the ones called to the stand. So going when watching there's something about Pam. I don't know if you've seen this on Hulu. It's about a series of murders in Troy, Missouri. In I'll talk more about it off air because I don't want
Okay.
to. Anyway,
Yikes.
the things
Um,
that I can't. There's things I can and can't say about it on air and off air.
sure.
But
Romeo's a good song. Was
all right,
considered briefly as a single, but they weren't thrilled about it. Didn't know if it was catchy enough. It's definitely stronger than the last two. It's perhaps underrated on this album, much like the next track. And
I
again,
don't
good.
know if it
It's a
would
good
be
one.
catchy enough to be a single, if I'm being honest. But it's very mournful, and
Fair. I
that's
think
what I
people
love.
saw the
That's
title and thought about it, and maybe it's a love story gone wrong, or something, and people were like, "That'll be a good song for radio." Oh wait, and then they heard it, and they're like, "It's too sad,
maybe not, maybe not.
too sad." Warriors closes out side one. It's a Linut and Gorham production, and it is right under the hits for me. This is one of the best songs on the record. It is another song about the dark side of life and drug abuse, and Phil kind of romanticizing people who use drugs because he himself is using drugs, and you want to be heroic when you're not. And it is a great song. Uh,
It
actually,
is
a
a
great
great
song.
song. It's a very powerful song, and when you find out what it's about, it's just like, oh my god. But no, I get it. I mean, I get it.
Yep.
Flip the record.
flipping the record to side two, and the song everyone within the sound of our voice has heard at least once in their life and knows this song, and probably better than that, is
You've
the
probably
boys.
heard this song at your high school's football games.
I mean, yeah, sports,
Like the marching band playing it.
politics, marching bands, TV commercials, Toy
48
Story.
hours. It was in the movie 48 hours.
You love mentioning that. It is true.
I do. And
Um,
they had the horns playing. I,
right.
that is the first time I heard this song. It was, I guess, about 8 years after the song was a single, after the song was a hit, and hearing this R&B band.
Weren't you a little young to see that movie?
It was the 80s. And yes, but
Hey, son, do you want to watch this ribald comedy with us?
I regret
Sure.
nothing. I regret nothing.
All right.
My parents might.
So the boys are back in town. 4.5 minutes of guitar majesty. It's a good story, but it really doesn't matter what the story is about. It's super catchy, hella catchy chorus. Great song. Incredible guitar work. What can you say that hasn't already been said about the song?
Here's what I can say about it that has not already been said. Whenever I hear this song, I think back to the bus ride to school in high school when we passed Dino's packaged liquor.
You think back to what?
I think back to my high school days on the bus ride to school
Oh, okay.
when we passed Dino's packaged liquor.
All right. Dino's Bar and Grill?
No, it was packaged liquor, but like that. I didn't know this song really then. I mean, it wasn't. But back then, I thought about the guy in school named Dino.
Oh, all right. You also had a Dino in your school. No, yeah, it's a fun story. It's a fun song. Everybody knows this song. Like I said, this is their Stairway to Heaven. This is their Paranoid. This is their Enter Sandman. I wish it wasn't,
it's
but it is.
better than two of those songs you just mentioned.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that's I love it when somebody's greatest work is lauded. It's better than Deep Purple's "Smoke on the Water." It is better than Steve Vai's "For the Love of God." It is better than Pink Floyd "Time." This is the absolute pinnacle of this band, in my humble opinion. So it's great that that's the one they remember the most. But I don't think anybody in the group that was part of it would complain that this was the song that everybody latched on to.
Right, it's not a throwaway pop song they did as a one-off. This is indicative of their style. It's rocking. It's not for lacking anything. It just was the one that hit the biggest. They have other hits, as we mentioned. Jailbreak is also a hit. There are two more hit songs on this record, at least well-known hit songs. So, again, a hit song begets other hit songs.
I'm gonna take my glasses off.
Oh, sure, you're right.
I don't like wearing my glasses in front of a computer, but I look smarter with them.
I don't have mine.
Moving on to Fight or Fall. I'm gonna let you take this one because,
yeah,
again, post-coital glow, I don't recall.
Right. Yeah, it's another solid one. Good track, good bass, good groove. Interesting song. Typical of a side B. Probably still a little better than Angel of the Coast and Running Back, but sequencing.
See, that is track 2, side 2. That's where you put your weakest song.
Mm.
In my opinion, every record I've ever heard, my least, if I don't like it all the way through, track 2, side 2, always a fluff.
Interesting.
The only song I don't like at all on Ride the Lightning, one of the greatest records of all time, is track 2, side
2. Escape.
Fuck Escape.
Should have escaped. Anyway.
Should not have escaped the studio.
Should not have escaped their riff tape.
Correct.
Anywho, closing out the album with a lot of strength with these next two songs, and two of my arguably favorite.
Who am I?
Inarguably my favorite Thin Lizzy songs are two of the next ones. So Cowboy Song, which was written by Phil and the drummer Brian Downing, is genius. It's a great song, great rock song, great lyrics, great singing. Speaking of range, incredible range on this song. And again, a lot of singers can sing a line, but few can turn a phrase and do it, with the oomph and the style and the drama that the poetry of the lyrics intended. And this is one of those. And yeah, I love Cowboy Song. It's been all these songs have been covered a lot by a lot of bands. Cowboy Song was famously covered by Anthrax, believe it or not. Very well done with John Bush on the vocals, and yeah, fantastic.
I don't know what I can say about this song that would be worthwhile. It
Okay,
is
not a
a
fan.
truly powerful song.
Oh,
It's also one of the things I talked about with Duncan on the Metal Antiquities was how many English acts sing about America, sing about Americana. And in this song is so important that T authorized Phil Lynott biography is named Cowboy Song. This is it's a song about the American West, and the way Duncan described it was in England and presumably Ireland as well, the entire UK and the island nations, as it were. They see America as this utopia that they romanticize. So making it big in America is important. So maybe it's a little bit of Def Leppard's Hello America, which comes a few years later. A little, hey, we love you guys. But either way, it is an amazing, powerful, emotional song about America, which is weird. But it is what it is.
I think also one of Phil's escapes as a youth was the cinema.
Mm.
Whenever he had the change that could afford it, um, and they showed a lot of American westerns.
Oh, there you go.
So that's always captured his imagination, and I think he captured it back beautifully in song. Closing out the record proper, and another song that most people know from covers, but is a great song in its own right, is Emerald. There's probably never been a rock song, you know, that captures kind of the mysticism and vast greatness of Ireland, like Emerald. I'm sure there were other songs. There were probably some folk songs and Celtic music that better encapsulates this thing themes. But Emerald is phenomenal. It's super heavy rock, borderline proto heavy metal. That riff toward the end, after the first solo, is straight up headbanging material, and again, famously covered by Mastodon and a bunch of other bands. So,
And
unfortunately, Ace Frehley,
infamously covered by Ace Frehley, featuring
poorly covered by
Slash.
Ace Frehley with Slash, but the
I
song
know the
itself is a banger.
which sounded like a couple of dry drunks playing this song. Love Slash, love Ace. I got them both on vinyl. They're old bands. They're solo business, whatever. But if you told me they recorded it in 1985, I would have believed you. So, but moving on from that, Emerald is, you know, what is Phil Lynott? Is he a rocker? Is he an R&B guy? I think of him more as a troubadour. Is he singing ballads all the time? No. But is he telling stories every time? Yes. And I love this story. This might be the first time, apart from Led Zeppelin, someone besides Led Zeppelin singing about. No, no, I take that back. This is the first time anybody's singing about Dungeons and Dragons. They're singing. He's singing about a war over a magic jewel. I mean, one could argue maybe it's Tolkien, which is where D&D obviously comes from. What with the orcs and everything else. However, I choose to believe that Gary Gygax created something brand new It just happened to be exactly like something an old English people did. Amazing, it's just amazing. It's like Louie and Wild Thing. Definitely not. No, nobody checked each other. But so, but I mean, obviously, famously, Led Zeppelin sang about Lord of the Rings all the time, which is
Poorly.
amazingly nerdy.
Super nerdy and often left. If you leave the lyrics up to Robert, he's gonna screw the pooch and tell the story wrong, and you know.
Yeah, if you listen to Ramble On, it makes no
Gollum never
sense.
crept up and ran away with whoever. Like, he's not a woman at all.
Could you picture Gollum getting down with somebody?
And I don't want to picture anything of the
fair.
sort.
So, but this is the first time we have this kind of fantastical storyline, which later, 2 years later, Dio takes this idea to massive effect with Rainbow and everything else Dio did.
Yeah, of course. So Emerald closes the record, and it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty incredible record that has 4 hit songs on them, 3 on side 2. All of them are some of the most famous songs in the genre, let alone of the band. And they have a handful of more hits the rest of their career, but this is like this is it. This is why it's a huge seller. Houses are bought, cars are bought. Still, the band doesn't get to tour as much as they could or should have on this record for whatever reason. Illnesses, drama, etc. And again, this record made them big stars, got them out of trouble with the record label, made them money, but they should have been so much bigger than even as they are now.
This should have been as big as Dark Side of the Moon. You can't tell me that Romeo and the Lonely Girl isn't as good as Money.
It's there.
You can't tell me that
it's in the conversation.
Running Back isn't as good as The Great Gig in the Sky. But in fairness, I have a low opinion of that.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of that song.
So Jailbreak is as good as Black Dog.
Surely. Oh, yeah.
The Boys Are Back in Town is as good as Enter Sandman.
Sure.
I said it. I'll say it. However, those songs propelled those bands into tens of millions of albums sold.
Yeah, that's not to say that this record didn't sell a lot, but this is their only big hit album, and they have other records that are successful and have hits, but this is kind of the peak, and they did not peak this way again, which is a bummer because the talent is there.
It has only been certified as gold in the United States.
Well, again, that's the place that they didn't break. They just never broke here except on radio with these songs.
Well, the thing about breaking in America is there's 300 million of us.
Yeah, but you gotta
hit here. You sell way more.
So many movies and television and radio uses these songs, sports and things. Emerald, Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak are like perennial pro sports themes.
Oh yeah, this album is the kind of album that sets you for life.
Yeah, should be.
Now, you may not be living in the Kiss Mansion from Exposed, but you never have to work again.
Yeah. Officially, Emerald is not a single. The 3 singles in order were Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak, and Cowboy Song. And Cowboy Song was technically only in Canada and the US. So they're trying hard to break this thing. Album's produced well. Again, they kind of took it back away from the band and gave it to an outside producer, John Halcock. The album cover kind of reminds me of Destroyer. I think it's meant on purpose. I don't remember if Destroyer came first or not. You're the expert on Kiss more than I, but much more than I. But I've said before, Vagabonds, Nightlife, Fighting, all good records. Sound forms on Nightlife and really on Fighting, where they really coalesce the sound. And now they came to play with this great collection of songs. And they should have took over the whole world and not just a little piece of it with this,
The world is not a fair place.
Yeah, it is. This is their actual U.S. breakthrough. This is the only time they've really charted in the U.S. and England at the same time. And apparently, both Jailbreak and Boys were actually on the charts in the U.S. Boys is the highest charting song the band ever had in the USA. at number 12. Didn't even break the top 10. But again, think about all the incredible records in '76, not to mention pop stars and other genres that were vying for competition.
In 1976, you have Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and Black Sabbath.
Elton John, I mean,
I'm
Paul
just looking at
McCartney
like
and Wings.
the three biggest bands in the world
Oh, sure, they all have
in
records.
this genre. Oh, and
Yeah.
Kiss. So you have Kiss, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd, all dropping records
Yeah.
in 1976.
Yeah, I think Who's Next is this year also. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, 1976 is a big year for music. As I had said before, the 70s came late. 1970, 1976 came and came again.
Was that an AC/DC reference?
Yes, it was. Which came in '78. That's
what there is a remaster on this that I do believe the vinyl comes from. If you have it, I don't, but I should. But again, I feel like it's like that. I'm gonna, everybody probably has this somehow. I have Johnny the Fox, next week's record on vinyl. We'll be spinning it this week. And there is a remastered version that has additional unreleased songs, including an earlier version of Cowboy Song and a song called Blues Boy that I think you can hear on YouTube that was not part of the album.
Yeah, that kind of stuff it's not my jam. I just want to hear the official. But, I mean, there's not... Basically what we're talking about is an amazing record that deserved way better than it got. And it's a career-defining album that didn't get career-defining sales.
Yeah, I still think it got more than their other stuff. I mean, but just probably not elsewhere, which is, a shame.
I'm not saying it sold poorly, but
no.
This deserves to sell. This is a 20 million seller in terms of quality, creativity, accessibility. To get the diamond records, to get the tens of millions, it's not just writing good songs. It's writing good songs at the right time with the right accessibility. I believe personally that every record you sell, 25% of the sales are the people that are going to be with you on the next record. And, that's why bands have these big records that they never can achieve those sales again because they hit at the right time, the right songs, the right accessibility. Dark Side of the Moon is the best-selling Pink Floyd album of all time. The Black Album is the best-selling Metallica album of all time. Led Zeppelin 4, same. Because they hit at the right time. They hit in a way that was accessible to more than their core fan base. They scored a hit. A hit is, as I mentioned earlier, it's like pulling the lever on the slot machine and you hit it. Because it's more than just you. It's also what's going on in the world. It's how what you have done hits at the moment that it's there. And, if this is 1975, it's probably a bigger hit than it is 1976. 1976 was prouder than
fair, totally fair. I don't have really a lot else to say. It's an awesome record, and again, we have a few more to do. But this is a great one. Most people should totally have this. This is definitely the S or A tier album for the band in terms of their albums. I probably like the next couple a bit more, as much or more, but they don't have the hits. But they have songs that are important and I think great and meaningful. So we'll get to them.
If you don't mind, I will take this home.
Take it home, sir.
This is an absolutely astounding album, and the sales figures explain precisely why Keefy chose to do this particular series. Keefy wanted to do a series based on a band that is criminally underrated in our sphere. And you know what? Based on the listens I'm getting on the Thin Lizzy series, yes, it is criminally underrated. Thank you for the people that maybe not aren't fans but are listening, and I appreciate that. It's a great microcosm of what we're doing. This is an album that's as good as Led Zeppelin 4. It kicks Destroyer in the ass. It's on par with Houses of the Holy. It is up there with Wish You Were Here.
Wipes the floor with late era Sabbath.
Well, I mean, this is technical ecstasy here, so it's hard not to beat that, frankly.
Sure.
So you have this amazing record that is overshadowed by the supergroups of the time who are releasing, frankly, diminishing return albums. I love Physical Graffiti. It's not better than Houses of Behold, which is not better than Led Zeppelin 4, which is not better than Led Zeppelin 3, which is better than 2. My hot take, just whatever. This is better than Technical Ecstasy, which is worse than Sabotage, which is worse than Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and so on and so forth. So you have all of these big bands on the downswing. You have Thin Lizzy on the up, but somehow, unlike Parliament, they did not get up on the downstroke. If you've listened this far, thank you very much. Please listen to this record. I know Emerald, The Boys Are Back in Town, and Jailbreak, but there are 6 more songs that are worth your time and effort. I mean, the effort is THIN space LIZZY space JAILBREAK. You can even misspell it because it's fucking Google. Listen to this song. And with that, this is the Glacially Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria.